Let's talk about PGA Tour Americas, because this has been a transition, definitely. How has it been so far for you?
It's been great. Yeah, it really has been great. I mean, we've conducted 6 events so far in Latin America, and maybe buried the lead a little bit there for the viewers and listeners that don't know. We merged PGA Tour Canada and PGA Tour Latino America into one tour. And we started in March of this year in Tulum, Mexico. So we have 6 events in Latin America, and we have 10 events up here, 9 in Canada, 1 in the U.S., and we've seen some great success from our Canadian players in Latin America. But what I'm really encouraged by is the international players that are playing on this tour. We've had winner from Mexico, the U.S., New Zealand, and 2 Canadians. 2 Americans have actually won, 2 Canadians. So it's to see the international flair, if you will, on the tour has been tremendous, and I know the guys are really excited to get started here in 10 or so days in Victoria at the Beachlands Victoria Open at Uplands Golf Club.
That's so exciting. And what kind of crowd atmosphere have we seen so far on PGA Tour Americas on the Latin swing?
Yeah, I've been very impressed. It's obviously a very different culture. The pro-ams in particular are a big party, quite frankly. Yeah, and you're seeing lots of activations on holes, and whether it's food and drink, and we've seen live music and things like that. So I've only been to 2 events. I went to our first event in Tulum, and then I had the opportunity to go to Bogota a couple of weeks ago. And again, food and drink and just entertainment is really a focal point down there. And so you're seeing that across all the various pro-ams, especially like Peru, which is Scotiabank is a big sponsor down there, and they host a big pro-am. And so, they've posted a video, and you have drones. Anyway, it's just a lot of fun, and I think the players really enjoy that. And it's certainly something for us to try to emulate up here as well.
And something that I love doing, and I've mentioned this probably every time we've had a guest on from PGA Tour Americas, formerly PGA Tour Canada, is having the winner on our show the Monday or Wednesday after they win. And one of those winners joined us on the set yesterday, in Matthew Anderson, the Canadian. How awesome is it to see a Canadian like him, and Stuart MacDonald for that matter, both already have success on this tour?
It's tremendous, honestly. To Matt, turned pro last year, had a rookie season on PGA Tour Canada, finished in the top 60. I think he finished 41st or around that number. And it was funny, after the Fortinet Cup Championship in Calgary last year, he was sitting with his coach after the final round, and he seemed a bit dejected. And his coach is a friend of mine, Alf Callowhill, called me over and said, "Scott, hypothetically, if a player in his first year finished 41st on the Fortinet Cup points list, what would you say? Would you think it'd be a successful year?" And I'm like, yeah, definitely. I mean, you beat out, another 200 players to secure that spot. So to see him become what he has in Fortinet Cup points list right now, he secured conditional status on the Korn Ferry Tour already for next year, which will guarantee him some starts. So to see that from him has been truly impressive, and he's an impressive young man, and I believe he's going to have a great career.
It's pretty cool, too, talking with him yesterday. He said one of the biggest reasons he's had success so far is because he spent time during a Canadian winter in his basement putting.
Yeah.
And, whether you're you or me or any of your average Joe, hey, just go putt in your basement and good things can happen. And that's awesome about the Korn Ferry Tour partial exemption, I guess we should say, to have that partnership right away for the incentive to go out and play well. And they already have starts next year, which is great.
Yeah, and the top 10 players on the Fortinet Cup points list at the end of the season. So we have our Fortinet Cup Championship at TPC Toronto. So hopefully I'll talk to Chris about that. That'll be the precursor to the RBC Canadian Open there next year. We're playing on the North Course, which will be a good test both for the players but also for the facility to see how it plays with that kind of competition or level of competition. And so we're excited about that. But the top 10 players will receive Korn Ferry Tour status next year, and each of those players will get 12 starts on the Korn Ferry Tour. And so I was talking to a David Hearn yesterday, actually, and I mentioned that to him. He said, well, if you can't do anything with 12 starts, then, like, what are you doing? So it's the point being is it's great status for those players, and it's something that, you know, we've been fighting for and working hard to try to secure for those players, and I'm really happy that we are able to do that, and I know the players are excited to compete for those 10 spots.
Or with Scott Pritchard from PGA Tour Americas. You mentioned TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley. I know you spent a lot of time there. How excited are you that we're going to see the RBC Canadian Open there next year?
Yeah, I think, you know, when I look back on that partnership that, you know, we've created, I give credit to Brad Pinnell, who's no longer there, but Brad was a good friend and came from Point Grey, where we played for a long time, and joined Chris up at TPC. You know, we brought the idea to them about TPC Toronto, and, you know, we floated the idea maybe one day we could host the, you know, RBC Canadian Open there, and, you know, lo and behold, 7 years later, after the initial deal, or I guess it's 6 years, but we're, you know, we're getting my numbers all messed up here, but the point being is that dream is coming to reality or to fruition, and I know that Chris is really excited about it. I'm excited for Chris and the team up there. They've worked extremely hard on everything up there, and I'm just so thankful that we have a partnership and a great partnership with them, and wishing them nothing but the best.
And if you hear the rink boards behind us, those are fans hammering the boards, because there is live golf going on behind us, and I'm sure I wonder which hole at TPC the rink hole will be on. That's
Jason Logan asked me that same question.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, I'm not sure.
Know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, because I got to play the new Reno, the new redesign 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to getting out there. But for you, Scotty, you've been involved in this a very long time. What's it like for you to see graduates from, you know, guys who have come up through PGA Tour Canada, now PGA Tour Americas, and having success here on the PGA Tour?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for me personally, there's a sense of pride that you feel. You know, you played a small role in their progression, provided them an opportunity to hone their game, you know, at our level on PGA Tour Americas, and then ultimately get to the Korn Ferry Tour. We've had 95 players between the two players that have made it to the PGA Tour. 25 of those players account for 37 wins on the PGA Tour. So, you know, you're thinking guys like Nick Taylor and Tony Finau sort of leading the way with multiple victories on the PGA Tour. But, you know, I always say every Canadian that's playing out here started on this tour. And I know if you talk to them, you know, they were thankful for the opportunity. They'll tell you that it gave them the opportunity to learn how to travel. And, you know, I always say, and you've heard me say this too, is that, like, these guys are all really good players. Sometimes it's really about dealing with the stuff off the course, right? How do you manage your time and, you know, your fitness and your health and all that. And I think the guys that figure that out quickly are going to progress quickly. And, you know, there's no better example than Nick Taylor, who played our tour in 2013 and won on the PGA Tour in 2014. And in fact, there is another example, Hayden Springer, who won the Fortinet Cup last year, bypassed the Korn. He had full status on the Korn Ferry Tour. He bypassed it completely because he got status at Korn Ferry Tour Q School, PGA Tour Q School. Right. And he's here this week, and I was talking to him yesterday. He's having a great year. So, you know, this tour really provides opportunity, and if you're good enough, you can really take advantage of that opportunity.
Which is so awesome, and the opportunities continue on the Canadian swing. If you could just walk us through, if you know top of mind, what's the schedule look like here for PGA Tour Americas? Yeah,
so we start out west. We have 2 events out west, one at Victoria, which I mentioned, then we go to Edmonton for the ATB Classic, and then we take a week off, and we start in the east. We have a brand new event in New Brunswick, the Explore NB Open, which we're really excited to play at MacDonald Golf Club, which is it's a hidden gem in Fredericton. Wow. In fact, the Canadian Tour back in the day played there in 1991. I forget who the winner was, but the runner-up was Chris DeMarco.
Wow.
So if you see any of the old Canadian guard out here, and they'll know about MacDonald, it's a really good track. And then we move over to the Bromont Open in Quebec. Then we go to Ottawa for the Commissioner's Ottawa Open at Eagle Creek, which we're excited about. And then we go to Windsor for the Windsor Championship. Then we take a week off, and we go into the Prairies, Elk Ridge, Saskatchewan Open, then to Winnipeg for the Centerport Rail Park Canada, Manitoba Open. Then we move into Minnesota for the CRMC Championship, and then we have our final event, the Fortinet Cup Championship at TPC Toronto.
You did that without a script, without a teleprompter. I put you on the spot. I'm very, very impressed with you, Scotty. And,
thank you.
And you should be very impressed with what has gone on so far in PGA Tour Americas and the graduates who are having a ton of success right now. Thanks for your time today.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Scully.